Alright guys, this is a little bit of a departure from normal, but I wanted to document a rebuild process on a winch. This is a Warren 9.5 Ti. It's a good winch. I got it on Craigslist for 20 bucks, which at the time seemed like a good deal, but we'll see whether or not this is actually worth fixing. My intent is to take it 100% apart, strip it all down, replace the wearables. I'll check the solenoids, and I'm going to use my cabinet, sandblast all the paint, repaint it, and restore it, and then we'll see. I believe I have all the parts, but as you can tell, it's more than a one-day project. So let's see how this goes. I'm gonna get a parts breakdown and check and see what I have, what I don't have. Warren parts are pretty expensive, and so I'm not sure if it's going to be worth it, but let's see. You know, the main stuff seems to be here. This is the shaft that goes inside the drum for the brake. The brake is there. I think this just sat wet and unmaintained for a long time, so we'll see how much repair I can do. And if you like, follow along. I'm not sure how quickly this is going to go, but I'll try to post as much as I can. So this is how I'm going to set things up. I'm going to use these containers. These are from lettuce. I'm going to put degreaser in there, and then I'm going to take everything apart. As you can tell, the molasses, that's the grease, the old grease, and I don't have a parts washer, so I'm going to put the degreaser in here and agitate stuff, and all the fasteners are going to go in here. And then we'll see how we go from there. Sorry, I've got to keep switching on and off. First is take the handle off. You have to take the engage and disengage handle off, and you do that by taking out this this retaining Allen head, which was very, very tight, at least in my case, because it's probably never been apart. That should then allow this whole thing to pop out. Put that in there, and then we'll start fishing for the gear. Let's see if this part will pop out or not. I'll get back to you. Alright, here we go. So let's just see if it'll... Okay, so that is Baron. As Baron of the little geese. So I'll put the stuff in here, and we'll get to the next part. Okay, so what I use is Purple Power. It's cheap stuff from any auto parts store, and just straight stuff, and then very, very hot water. And I'm just going to let it sit in there. I'll add a little more water, so it'll be about 50-50, and I'll just let it sit overnight. So gears and hardware have been soaking in degreaser for about 20 hours. Let's see what they look like. Okay, well, I didn't tape, that's how old I am. I didn't video me degreasing parts because I think that's pretty boring. But whatever grease the previous owner had was not the right grease. It was some very heavy industrial thick stuff, and it was a pain to get off. A lot of scrubbing. I still think I need to boil, or at least get some of these parts in hot water. But in general, things look okay, with this exception here. This is the main ring, and you can see this wear here. Now it certainly looks like it's a wear pattern, but when I get a little bit closer, it looks like rust to some extent. So I think this winch was submerged and then not cleaned, which is, you know, typical and unfortunate. So I think this gear stuff will be okay. I am going to replace, it also looks like it wasn't reassembled properly. Maybe that's what led to this wear. This clearly got crushed, and I'm guessing that was done during the previous installation. Somebody probably forced it. The other thrust washer or bushing looks okay. There's not any, you know, strange wear. It's actually not that worn, but we are going to order some new ones. These are on the 9.5 Ti. The case is more or less sealed, and this is what's left of the seal, rubber seal. There's one, and here's the other. Pretty crusty. The case, I haven't cleaned as much as I want yet. This part, this is the part that's opposite the motor. A lot of deep draws and so on, and I'm not sure how I'm going to clean this. I used some compressed air, but it's cold out and the grease isn't moving, so I'm thinking I might end up having to heat this somehow and get it all off. There's a gasket here that needs to come off, but in general, crusty. Now remember, all of this is going to get cleaned off, and then we're going to repaint at home. You can see there's a lot of aluminum corrosion, so we're going to have to get this really, really nice and clean, and then acid etched, and then we're going to etch prime, and then we'll see. Maybe some POR after that. I'm not sure. But anyway, that's the current status, so stay tuned. I'm going to set up a little bit of an inventory and see what parts need to get ordered, and then we'll get to the motor and check that out as well. Okay, so the next section will be electrical, checking the motor and checking the relays.